I'm eating lunch too, so.
All right, well, I'm here with you, Logan, while you eat your banana. First question, pretty obvious question. You good? I gotcha. There we go. You're
Yep, I'm
unfrozen.
there.
All right. You
Yeah.
froze while you're eating banana, so the few people that watch the video will enjoy that.
Yeah,
But
there you go.
here's my first question for you. Who is your favorite CrossFit judge and why is it me?
Hey, you probably gave me the most help through the workout, so yeah, I'd say it would be you.
I want to start this whole conversation about that because I don't think I've ever heard someone, a games athlete, talk about the interactions with the judge and how you guys really see us.
Yeah.
So, for those that don't know, I judged you during Mary, that infamous. There's a picture on your Instagram, Logan Collins 3, where I didn't notice you had a cramp. I thought you tore something, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what do you guys talk about? What do you guys
As the
think about? What's that?
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Okay, I had it switched over to this different Wi-Fi. I'm sorry about that. I switched it back to the good one, so it kept on breaking up. But you were saying that just kind of the interaction between the judge, athlete, and the cramp.
What do you guys think about the judges at the CrossFit Games, or really any competition that you go to? Is it just like, hey, I got to do this workout and these guys are watching? Is it different at the CrossFit Games? I don't even know if the athletes realize, like, anyone that's judging the individuals is a pretty high level coach.
Yes,
So
yeah.
what do you guys think about going out there?
I think it really depends on it's person to person because I already am under the understanding that or under the influence that you guys are higher level than me. Y'all know a lot more about movement than I would, right? So I know that y'all are more. I don't know what is it seminar staff? Is that
Yeah,
what?
just about. Actually, this year, all 20 of us that were judging you guys, with the exception of
There was only 20.
there was 20 after the second cut event. So
Oh, got you.
the
Okay.
first and second cut, we brought on some volunteers that were from the games. I'm sorry, from the team division. And then from that moment on, the 20 of us judged you the entire way through.
They even made cuts with the judges.
Well,
Savages.
that is, there was definitely a look of sadness when we went from
Yeah.
like 150 on that first event, and Boz was like, "Thank you guys, you're no longer needed."
Oh.
They're excited. We have a great time judging. Don't get me
Mm-hmm.
wrong, but it's a job, and we're there
Yeah.
to do it. Where a lot of those people are volunteering to be around athletes and because they love
Sure.
CrossFit, so they were definitely disappointed. But
Yeah.
yeah, from basically Friday on, it was the 20 of us. We judged you the entire way through.
Yep. To answer your question, I think it's different from, I think, level to level. So with regionals, it's kind of like there's a big stressor is, okay, how's my judge going to be? Am I going to need to communicate? Is he going to communicate with me or he or she? That the regional is a little bit more stressful, I think, when it comes to like judging. At the games, you really don't know. I mean, there's so much going on with the crowd and all these things around you that it's tough to kind of stay in communication with your judge. And you really sometimes don't even know where they're at. Like I saw you almost the whole time, which was awesome. Like that's why you and I think we're on the same page. And even, God, what's that gentleman's name that he's he was head judge. I think Bosman was on the left. The other
Jason
gentleman
McDonald.
Jason McDonald. Yeah, he came over once, and we were all just kind of in good communication with a few of the no reps and stuff like that. But I just honestly, I am at the point. I think my rookie season, I got no repped quite a bit one time, and just about had it out with like just letting my attitude get poor, letting like I'm questioning. I'm like, what do you mean? And stuff like this, and I'm like. And after that year one, I'm like, okay, like you kind of grow up a little bit and you're just kind of like, all right, what's he or she looking for? What do I need to do? Cause you guys are seeing it from a different angle than we are. Right. So, and we're not judged on a daily basis on any of our movements. So I think that's a big thing for me at least, but yeah, that's about it.
So I want to ask you on a personal level, what's one thing, during Mary, what's one thing that I did well as a judge, and what's one thing you think I did poorly at?
Um, I mean, well, I think it was awesome because we talked like a little bit. You know, it's tough if you get no reps or something. I think I had 2 no reps. One was because I couldn't straighten my leg out on the handstand push-up. That's the one I remember. And there was another one where it might have been a pistol or something. I don't know what it was, but I didn't have that many no reps. So, but anytime that I was sneaking up maybe on my pull-ups, I kept hearing you say, hey, chin on the last one. And I guess I was shortening off on that 15th one. I was shortening off and trying to I was getting to that point where it wasn't quite it was getting over, but I was getting close to not getting over.
Yeah,
So that
especially
was
in the
something.
butterflies. It's when you start to arch.
Yeah.
You just kind of lose that distance to the bar.
Sure. Yeah.
I saw
So
that more
that
with
was,
the women.
yeah, that was something that I thought you did really well, was the communication part of it. It wasn't like just a steady stream of no reps, but it was, hey, you're doing this, watch it, or I'm going to no rep you kind of thing, which was nice. So I've had judges before that didn't ever tell me what I was doing. And I think it's just because they're trying to keep count, and they have a lot of things to do as well, more than I do. I'm just working out, and y'all are keeping track of numbers, rep movement and stuff. So it's a tough job, I'm sure. But I've had some judges that don't talk to me, and I'm like, hey, and I'm dying. I'm like trying not to waste my breath talking. And so that was something that I liked with you. I didn't have to really ask you, hey, what am I doing? What are you asking for? You were letting me know, especially when it came to like those, even in the, I guess the level 1, level 2, I'm a level 2, but talking about like the verbal cues, like one word cues are very important. And I think they're important to athletes as well, because it's not like you have to pull me to the side and be like, hey, this is what you're doing. I'm like, I'm going for time right now. It's not like, but you saying, hey, watch your chin or something quick like that was very helpful. So,
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a misconception out there where we're not out there, and Boz repeats it over the course of the week. Like, we're making sure you guys can demonstrate work capacity. We're not trying to take reps away. And we say it all the time, like a tie goes to the runner. We want, if we think you're doing it, we'll give it to you. So I'm certainly, I mean, that was a lot of reps, and it was fun. When we were backstage, we get handed the cards. I mean, I didn't know who you were, but I knew you were in 21st place, and I was like, oh shit, I don't want to be judging this guy right now. I just knew you were gonna come out. Like, I didn't know whoever it was, I knew was gonna come out hot.
Yeah.
You came in at 21st. Where did you wind up after Mary?
I was in 13th.
So you jumped up 8 spots.
Yeah, that was a big one. I wish I could have gotten a lot of those workouts back, and Mary being one of them as well.
You would have done better.
I mean, Mary should have been one more. I should have probably had one more round, because my goal was to pace it to the round of 15. And as soon as I moved to pick up the speed and to pick up my pace to like go finish strong for the last 5 minutes, or no, not 5 minutes, 10 minutes. All right, so it's like pace the first 10 minutes and then kind of lose my mind the last. But I don't know what it was. I mean, I know what it was. It was the ruck and stuff that day. Ankles were a little bit tight, quads were tight, and my quad actually started at my quad. My quad started to get a little bit sore, and kind of just felt like they were about to cramp up. So I pulled back a little bit, and as soon as I hit round 15, I was like, okay, I feel good. So let's go ahead and just take a nice little breather here, and then get it cranked up a little bit. So, and then that's the round that it cramped on, was the round 16. So I had to it was either keep pushing as hard as I possibly could, or try to get a little bit of rest and just try to manage. And I tried to push as hard as I could, but I also thought that the minimum work requirement for that workout was something in my head was saying that if I were to have stopped, the medical would have came out, that I would have been DQ'd. So I was like that. I don't know why that was in my head. I'm pretty sure that wouldn't have happened, but that was just something that was lingering. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to have to keep going. And then hopefully this thing goes away. And then thankfully it went away on that next round, and then it came back for a second, and then it went back. That's why I don't know if you remember that or not, but it was like I won a full round and then jumped up on the handstand push-ups, and I was doing strict the whole time, but my knee would not lock out because my calf was cramped up. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to bend my one knee, and then try to just do handstand put. And they were like, nope, can't do that. I was like, I can't straighten my leg, man.
I didn't even realize it. Like you said, I didn't
Yeah.
it wasn't on the wall. Okay, so you finished Mary. Is any part of you like, hey, maybe I need to get better mobility and flexibility in my ankles?
I've worked on ankle mobility for a very, very long time since I've started doing this. And believe it or not, it's actually gotten better. Number one.
So that was good.
Can't really tell, but it has gotten a little bit better. And but it's something that I don't know. It's just, I don't know if it's just anatomically the way I am, but I can squat on my heels, back squat or front squat, but I don't know. So It's just something that it is what it is. And I have to do it on my toe, and my calf is just continuously flexed the whole time.
I went back after I judged 4 straight heats, and I think you were my first. And I was like, Logan comes out and he's like, can I do these on my toes? And it caught me off guard because I was like, can he? Like, I don't see why not. But, and I think I said, as long as your hip goes below your knee.
Yeah.
But
I would just bounce off my butt off my calf, and I would pop back up.
Now, I thought out of all the workouts, because I've done Mary, and I think my best ever is like 16 or 17 rounds.
That's good.
That's pretty, yeah. I mean, almost, games level. And but I was smashed. I mean, I had rhabdo in my arms for sure, just because I've tried to stay unbroken.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the worst workout of the weekend?
No. That was pretty straightforward. I wish it would have been the worst workout of the weekend. I wish I could have gone to that point in it, but I just had to I was pulled back a little bit. The worst workout of the weekend was that sled push bar muscle up one.
Just for the short duration.
The ruck was terrible because I've never rucked before, and that's what cost me a top 10 was the ruck. And so the ruck I took 44th in, I thought I was flying. Sir,
did you tear up your lower back like everybody else?
Yeah, I mean, I taped it because my buddy Travis Williams, he'd rucked before, and he said, hey, tape your lower back. So I went into a Rosti, got taped up, but as soon as I took my shirt off, I had a hole in the tape where it had just rubbed, and I think it just now healed. But I still have a good scab there. But
how was that shower?
Hurt.
Yeah.
My ankles were blissed up too, and the bottoms of my feet, so everything pretty much hurt on that shower. But
so despite all that, the sled was still the worst.
Yeah, sled was so controversial. Post of Dave Castro, he put out a post, and it was like talking about the sleds being different, and or the sleds not being different in each lane, right? So, I mean, I train a lot of sleds, like a lot of sleds 3 times a week because I'm not good at them, and I want to be good at them. So that middle lane, I don't know what, there was 3 middle lanes, but there was 3 of us sitting there, and it was Jon Koski, myself, and there was another guy that he's pretty good, but we took off on our sleds, and I could just about see the turf rolling over the front of my sled. Like as I'm pushing, it's like digging in. So there's no real like sliding part of it. So when I hit it, it went straight up and over. Like I was like, oh no. Cause I thought it was just going to be a very light sled cause it was turf. It was a sled, like things move on turf. So, but as soon as I got down there, I was fine. Did my 18 bar muscle ups. I came back, and I never push a sled with like straight arms. And sure enough, within the first 10 to 15 yards, I was the third one back to the sled. I started pushing it, and the entire field almost passed me by the time I got back because I was moving so slow, and I had my arms straight. Me and Koski were both just straight arms, moving at snail speed with this thing, and then people are blowing by me, And like, I'm not even talking about like bigger guys. Like there's people blowing, like sprinting with this sled. And I'm like, no, it's not right. And then I couldn't even walk after that for another probably 20 minutes. I tried to get in the ice bath after, tried to walk back, and went to go get in the ice bath. I took my pants down to my sliders, and they were like around my ankles, and I just like fell over and then just laid in between the ice baths for another 5 or 10 minutes. And then I finally mustered up enough energy to get up and roll into the bath. I was the only one there too. Like there was nobody around me. So, but yeah, that was the worst one for me.
So you think maybe in fairness, I was very far to one lane, and I don't remember. I had the German guy, I think his name was Winthrop, and he basically flipped his sled as well, but then he was able to move it. I didn't see what was going on in the middle though.
Sure.
But what would you say? Maybe you think maybe the heat or something affected the middle lanes?
I don't know, but I mean, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Like, I just know that sled was. I watched the video of it because I was like, dude, there's no way.
Right,
like I'm not an excuse guy either. Like I'm like, I give credit where credit's due, but I'm like, I was so excited to hit that sled and sprint it back to the finish line. As soon as I did, like I had my hands very, very low, body was high, and I had my back like pretty much rounded like you sprint with sleds. Honestly, I had them bent slightly, but it just threw me off a little bit. And he put out that post, and it was like, yeah, this. I'm like, I would love to see like each lane tested, because I think that would have brought a lot of stuff, and I'd love to, jump in there and test it for you because it would have been a lot different. But that's in the past anyway. But that is the reason why it was my worst event. It felt the worst is because I was borderline a 1 rep max for that 172 feet of a sled push, and I went I went unbroken, but I did not want to. I wanted to drop every like 10 feet and just re-hit it. But yeah, that was the reason. It wouldn't have been that bad if I was able to push it a little bit faster.
So even though that might have been the most painful workout at the time, which one was the hardest to recover from?
What do we have? It's probably go with the ruck. The ruck is just – it was just
nasty.
Yeah, it was just nasty because, A, I'd never trained for it, and then, B, I was getting mentally destroyed by these chicks passing me. And I'm not kidding. Like, they all – afterwards, I said to, I think, Tia, I was like, you girls are like absolute animals because I was running. And it was like I had a game plan. I was like, all right, I'm going to run a 640 on the first one, the first loop. And then I was going to deteriorate, maybe 20 seconds off the end. And I talked to Chandler Smith because he had run before. I tried to pick his brain a little bit. And that was going to be his strategy. And I was like, well, he's going to probably be at the front of the group. So if I hold the front at the beginning, everybody's going to deteriorate a little bit. So I'll be able to at least see the front. And 3, 2, 1, go. It was like, I don't know if you've ever heard about the swim starts at the games when we start with the girls.
Yeah.
It gets nasty.
Like
the girls are the worst. Like the girls like play no games when it comes to that. And they're insane because they would cut you off. They'd push me. And I'm like, I don't want to, I'm still like, I'm fresh for the first 100 yards. I'm still fresh. I'm still thinking correctly. If it was like lap 4, I might push somebody or something like that, but it wasn't that. But girls were cutting me off, pushing. I tried to like grab a backpack just to hold on to it and let me like get pulled through. But we ended up getting pushed to the inside, myself and somebody else. And it was a little bit of a bottleneck there. So I lost the front pack. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to run my speed. So it was me and Ben Smith. And I looked at my watch. We were running a 640. And I was like, okay, we're on, good pace. Second lap comes. And I was like 8 minutes. 8-minute pace. And I was like, okay, this one's hitting me hard. Like, I just couldn't run. Felt like my ankles were going to explode. And there was an absolute devil hill right as you exit the stadium that, like, it was a very steep uphill. And every time I ran up it, I just my heart rate went through the roof, and then it took me about 100 yards to recover from it a little bit. But yeah, the ruck definitely for my lower body was a good workout.
Would you rather do that again or the marathon row?
That again, 100%.
The ruck.
The ruck, yeah.
Really? That's
Yes,
surprising.
absolutely. Yeah.
So what goes through your mind on both of those when you're just in a long, so we got a lot of listeners that do CrossFit, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
What goes through someone at your level's mind when you're just in such a terrible place?
I just try to think about in the marathon row. That's another funny story, but I don't know. I just kind of zone out. I try not to think about it. They had that leaderboard at the marathon where you could see who was where, and I couldn't even focus on that because I didn't even care. Because I'm not a good rower. I'm a little bit on the shorter side. I'm not just the greatest rower as far as how I'm set up. I feel like I could row really fast if it was a 2K. 2K or under, I'd be in good shape. But anything outside of that, I'm pretty much already booked up for, okay, we'll see, how I'm feeling within the first hour. But I'm definitely not going to go out. And what I told myself is I'm not going to win this event. So let's just try to do some damage control on it. So honestly, it was just I wasn't even that sore or beat up from the marathon row. Believe it or not, I wasn't having body twitches and some people did, which some people went a lot harder than me too. So they probably had a little bit more output there.
Did you pee on the rower?
No, absolutely not.
So many people.
It looked like it, but they did.
Oh, yeah, you didn't hear about that?
No, I did not hear about that.
So for us, we rotated 1 hour shifts, and I was on the last shift.
Yeah, that was awful to watch too. You guys leave, and then
it was terrible, and it was terrible for us. And yeah, the last shift. So boss was like, "Good news, guys. They all finish. You're done early. There's pee everywhere. We have to clean that up." And,
oh no.
So what was the funny story though about the rower?
Well, so I told my parents because I knew it was going to be about 3 hours, and so I had a big crew that year. That was 17. That was 17. Yeah, that was 17.
What do we? No, that was 18.
18. Oh, okay, 18. So I had a pretty good size support crew there, and I told them I was like, "Hey, the row starts at whatever this time. I would give it 2 hours, and then come cheer me on for the last hour or something." Well, that was mainly for the fact because my mother is notorious for yelling at me, and when people yell at me during workouts, I don't like it. So I'm like, hey, just kind of hey, I'm hurting, just let me be for a little bit. But so they end up coming in, and I was 10K, I'm talking 40 minutes in, 45 minutes in, and I'm like, oh no. So my wife, who I was engaged with at the time, and my mom come down with ice creams, right? So they're sitting right in front of me because I'm on the front row.
Eating ice cream.
And then my dad comes down with I think it was a beer or a Coors Light or something like that. And I was like, oh no, this is going to be a long time. And then the first thing my mom does is she starts screaming for me. It's screaming her head off. And I'm trying to stay cool, calm. I'm already 10K in this thing. And the end is not even in sight yet. So, but yeah, and then I asked Matt, I was on, Matt Chan helped me with my nutrition that year a little bit. So I knew he had done the half marathon row. So I reached out to him seriously, probably 20 minutes before we started. And I was like, hey, and he kind of game plan, which he's an aerobic monster. I feel
especially recently he's training for these long, crazy.
I actually just saw that today. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that biking thing, but I said, hey, how would you attack this? Knowing that, we didn't have anything for times. So honestly, I feel like that the half marathon would probably be worse if they put a 2K. Was it a 2K?
Yeah, they had two events basically in there.
2K at the beginning and then the remainder.
And I'm pretty sure Kalipa won both of those.
Yeah, he did. But I'm like, if you had to race for 2K, it would have been pretty bad. I think the marathon row is obviously worse because it's longer, but racing, if they had to put something in a 5K at the beginning of the marathon for time, I mean, I'd have probably sold my soul for the 5K and then just continued to die. But anyway, so I asked him, I said, hey, can I have some advice on how I should attack this. And I think he said row at a 205 pace average. At the top of every minute or 2 minutes, give it 5 hard pulls. So I'm like, deal. Like, that keeps my mind in. I was like all good to go. I did that for like 20 minutes, and my heart rate was so high. I was like, there's no way. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm like very anaerobic. I was not in an aerobic state at that point. I was very, very anaerobic, and I was like almost about to get up at the 20-minute mark. Nobody had gotten up yet. So it was like it's like a mental thing. Once one person gets up, everybody started getting up. And so I don't know who the first one was, but I saw the first person get up, or I heard it on the announcement, and I gave it another like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And I was like, I have to get up. But I was a wuss. I wussed out and had to stand up. But
Well, I thought from our perspective as judges, it was funny because you guys came out with like picnic baskets.
yeah,
Food, like you were going to be out there for 2 days.
yeah,
You had a couple of goos, most of you, like a couple things, and then you just rode at a steady pace.
yeah. I know. There was a picture I saw it recently, was of Esslinger with a fruit plate. He had like fruit on a plate or something and he won the row. So it was like, that's pretty funny.
And for your story, it's funny because it's kind of like the person at a box. Like we train at a box, and you're in the middle of, say, a 20-minute AMRAP, and one of the members comes in and starts screaming at you 2 minutes in, and you just like, calm down. Yeah. I got 18 more minutes to go.
Yeah, pump the brakes, bud.
Let alone 3 hours. So talk about the one controversial thing this year at the games. What was your opinion on the ruck with Frazier?
I think that penalty was a little bit harsh.
You thought it was hard. All right. So why do you know, and I think because I tried to look at it from his perspective. Like, people are jumping down his throat, and I'm like, he might not, you got 50 pounds on your back. You might not even realize 10 fell out.
Yeah. I didn't even hear about it until after it looked like he got a call, because I was sitting next to him, and he got a call, and he was like, they're giving me a penalty and I wasn't even close to them. I was like a minute behind. They're 2 minutes behind. So I didn't see the bag come out or anything. I did see the video of it, but it was at like the last turn, if it was like at the first turn of the last lap, I get it. Minute. Sure. But I think that it was he got all the way around, and then almost getting back into the stadium, it flew out of his.
Yeah. It was very close to the stadium.
Yeah. And it doesn't, 50 pounds, 40 pounds, 30 pounds, you really couldn't tell that big of a difference, honestly. Or you couldn't just sit there and want to run that much faster. But I don't know. That was something that I saw a lot of hate go his way, which, obviously he's the champ and so he's going to get some lash on the legitimacy. But no, I think it shouldn't have been that much of a penalty, honestly.
So if you could put yourself in his shoes in that moment, what would you have done?
If I knew I don't think he didn't know it came out, though.
So you don't think he realized it came out?
No.
And I tend to agree with that. I think he thought something happened behind him.
Yeah.
People like, he saw it. I was like, I saw what the sandbags look like up close. They're small. It could be like anything on the side of the road.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't know what he thinks, but I kind of get everybody's character at this level is not wanting to cheat the system. You got eyes on you no matter where you go. It's not like you're gonna nobody's gonna find out that a sandbag fell out of his bag. But the crazy part is whenever everybody hit the finish line, everybody dropped their bags, right? And so there was no, that's your bag, that's my bag, that there was no way. So it was like whenever I don't know his name, but he called me over, he said, "Hey, grab your bag." I had been like dying on the ground for 5 minutes, and I was like, well, I don't know which one. So I went up to somebody, I think it was Scott. Like, he had 3 bags around him, and I was like, which one is which? I don't know. So I just grabbed one. But
yeah, so Matt
ended up grabbing one that had the correct amount of bags in it.
Right.
Because it was just one around him.
counting.
Yeah.
We were opening all of your bags and counting for 3 bags because the 20 pounds was already in there.
Yep.
And I believe it was Cole Sager who had the bag with 2.
Oh,
So
okay.
he's sitting over to the side, and I didn't realize what had happened. And later on, we just knew by the end one bag was 1 bag short.
Sure.
Until we saw that video, we didn't realize it. So you've gotten, I believe you went from 15th, 11th, 13th now. What's it going to take to be in the top 10?
I wish I could just say another day, because those events at the end were really nice for me.
Were you disappointed?
I was very disappointed in that. And I actually told my buddy that went with me, because I don't have a coach or anything. I got a buddy that comes up with me, and he helps me out do shakes and helps me out even game planning some stuff, because I work out with him on a daily basis. But I told him after, I was like, hey, don't tell me any of the workouts. Like I don't want to know. It's just going to make me mad. But at the beginning of the weekend, I was like, man, I wonder when we're going to lift. Like, because that's been the 2 biggest things I've worked on this year is my swimming and my lifting. Because I've always been a smaller guy. I weighed 168 pounds, set 170 pounds at the games at the last 2 years. So 17, 18, I weighed about 17 was less than 170. Got up about 172 last year. And then this year I was 185. So I was about 15 pounds heavier this year. And I put on that weight so I could, because the thing with the CrossFit games, people always talk about specialists this, specialists that. Like the CrossFit games reward specialists very much. So why wouldn't you try to take on a little bit more of a specialty role, I would say. So like muscle ups, I won the muscle ups in 2018. I won the Fibonacci in 17, and it's all stuff that has been geared towards lighter guys, but I didn't want that to be the case this year. I wanted to be the case where I wasn't just going to win an event or something like that. I was going to be able to stay steady over the course. But the 2 big things I was working on was clean and jerk, snatch, back squat, deadlift, all that. 'Cause deadlift is just a big weakness for me. I've broke my back in high school, never really recovered from it 100%. I don't think my back's strong, but it's not. I know Josh Bridges had this quote. It was like, if you don't have a strong posterior, you're, you know what I mean? Like you're pretty much screwed. Yeah. So, and that is the case at the game. So in 2016, my rookie year, we had 1 rep max deadlift. So I'd end up PRing my deadlift by 20 pounds and absolutely herniating disc in my back. And I was done and it was event 2 and 16 was pretty brutal year. We had double DT and stuff like that. So it kind of put me out there. And then in 17, we didn't pull a heavy dead from the ground. I did really well in 17, had a big improvement there. And then 18, we pulled another heavy deadlift.
Right, the total last year.
Total. And I did the same thing. Let the crowd get – I told myself I was going to stop at a certain weight. The crowd got into it. My buddy Sean Sweeney, I wanted to outlift him because, I don't know, just that's how I am. He went on 525, so I put on 530, and I pulled 530, and he goes up 535, and I think he ends up hitting 535. But either way, that's just the way it is. It's like you're at that level, but couldn't tie my shoes the rest of the weekend. So this year I made it a absolute just promise to myself to, hey, I'm going to put on some weight to help with the recovery and muscle building, try to just get stronger. And then I was going to be, because I was a decent swimmer. I've swam for the last 5 years. So I'm not a terrible swimmer or anything. I've gotten better each year on the swims. So I wanted to get really good at the swim this year. So, that being said, I didn't get a chance to swim or clean, which is like my favorite lift in the whole world. Like I wish I would have been at that last bar with Scott and Matt, because I could have.
You think you could have hit 380? Yeah.
I mean, who knows at that point in the,
right.
315 could have felt like the house and I couldn't have, but my numbers are up there enough to where I could have given myself a shot at it. So I was bummed out, but again, I didn't earn the right to lift that weight at that point. That hole in the ruck, like I would say the sprint, was what I lost it on, but I lost it on the ruck, getting the least amount of points. I beat 6 people, out of the whole 50. So I took 44th in that. That's a pretty big hole. I've never finished an event almost or that terribly. So, but the one thing that I like going back, the one thing that I had trouble with this year since I put on the 14 or 15 pounds was my running. Like I've always been a pretty decent runner, especially under fatigue. And so the ruck, I was like, cool, but I live in Texas also. So like the heat is pretty bad and the intensity that I bring, I've been running, before the games I ran at about 9 or 10 o'clock at night just to let it try to cool down a little bit. But it was, it is what it is. I struggled on the run. I knew that was a weaker part of my training during this year. The swimming and the heavy lifting and the CrossFit was there, but a very popular movement, that being a run, is something that it was my responsibility to have. So I kind of feel like I failed on that, and that's why that was the big hole. So to answer your question, what breaks me into the top 10 would be to kind of throw it all together. And I was going to use myself as 2 or 3 years to put on this weight and to feel comfortable in this weight, so I finally got my gymnastics back where I really liked them. That being like muscle ups and stuff, because muscle ups at 185 are a lot different than muscle ups at 170, man. And so, getting used to that and just I didn't even neglect running. I ran my butt off, and it came a little bit tougher. So I think another year of, hitting that weakness and trying to rebuild that from the ground up is going to be a big thing for me in 2020. So
there's obviously a lot of controversy about the cuts, and people were upset. And I think the challenging part with CrossFit is it may be a very different games next year. They may not do cuts. But one thing I was surprised with was the clear line of fitness between, the people in the States and the people that have been around versus those people that won in their country.
Mm-hmm.
Was that surprising to you guys as games athletes, or did you know to expect that? So for example, I judged the fittest in India on that rope climb event, and he didn't get off the rope.
Okay.
So he got 2 rope climbs.
Yeah.
So was that surprising to you guys, or did you know to expect that coming in?
I mean, I really wasn't thinking too much about the national champions, honestly. Like I met a whole lot of them, and they seem like really good dudes. And, I hope that it spreads to their, country and community like crazy, and they become contenders, eventually at the CrossFit Games. I think that's what it was obviously intended for. But I really didn't think too much of it. I think about, try to put myself in the final heat. That's what I always think about during training and stuff. Like I try to think about the final heat. I don't try to think about, even with there were some new names that were like throwing up really crazy numbers this year in like the open. And I'm not like, there was numerous, and it's so far out of your control that I don't know them. I don't follow them on Instagram. I try not to follow anybody on Instagram really, because I think it kind of plays a number on me. But I try not to let too much of that come in, because there was always that doubt of, hey, these national champions, like what is that first workout going to be? So me saying that, like, what if it's a 5K run? Well, Ethiopians are really good at running. So what if that happens and, something happens to me, it's a mass start, anything could happen. That was definitely on my mind, but that's something that is obviously out of my control. So I'm not going to try to focus and put too much of an emphasis on it during training and even days leading up, especially the final 2 months leading up. It's about getting mentally checked into your training. It's about the nutrition. It's not about those outside things that could come in and kind of like affect you. So I try to step up the mental game a little bit more this year. So I didn't really think about that too much. But
did you look at .com the night before and think to yourself, this is the workout?
I had somebody send it to me. And what's funny is we heard about that workout a week before the games.
How did you guys hear about that?
no idea.
What do you mean?
I heard about it from a friend of mine that heard about it from his friend and his friend. And I was like, and it wasn't that workout exactly, but it was 4 sets or 4 rounds, 400-meter run, 2 to 3 short rope climbs. So the chopped rope, right? Like regionals, and then 4 snatches at 225.
That's very funny because from what I heard, I don't know if it's true. Originally, it was 4 snatches at 225.
Okay, so I mean, there's a
leak somewhere.
There's a leak because I mean, it's not like I'm going to practice that event. Like I'm not going to sit there and a week out go try to see how much fit I can get between here and there. So I thought it was going to be a good workout. If it was 4 snatches at 225, I was like, wow, they're trying to make an absolute statement with this first workout. Because I mean, 150 guys, I bet 80 of them, 90 of them couldn't snatch 225.
Well, yeah, and like I said, the guy I judged did 2 rope climbs, and that was it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and what was also interesting to see is you can see it in the physiques of both the men and women. You can see that as soon as you saw them, you were like, they are not as fit.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting there.
Yeah.
So with all of that being said, we have no idea what's coming in October. You have the Collins regimen, which is meant to prepare people for the 2019 Open. How do you do that, having no idea what we're going to see?
So with the Open, that's usually been, something I've been a lot stronger at than like regionals and stuff, because I don't ever compete during the year. Number one, because I'm very busy during the year. I'm not a full-time athlete. I'm not sponsored. I don't do any of that.
What are you just running your box?
I own my gym. Yeah, that's it. And
CrossFit Rejoice, right?
CrossFit Rejoice. And, with the regimen, it works out really great because they follow a week behind of what I'm doing. So I think I had this thing set. I took pictures throughout the years of my like placements. And I think the first year I did the Open, I was like, I think it was like 1100th worldwide. And then the next year I was 140th worldwide. And the next year was the first year I made it in the 140s because I was 11th or something like that in my regional, South Central. And then the next year was like 25th. And then I got 8th last year. And then I got like 22nd this year or something like that. So the Open's been really something that I've looked forward to, and I put a lot of thought and stuff into because I don't have these competitions to go out and do. So I really have tried to focus on the Open. Like this year, if I wouldn't have qualified through the Open like I did, not a guarantee that I'm going to have the resources and the financial backing to go sit there and travel to
Dubai.
Like there's just no way. And I know they did pay out or something like that, but I just didn't know enough about it at that time. But I think this year I'm going to take that approach, and I'm going to go around some competitions and get a little bit more serious with that. I've actually had some really good support and help for my gym. So it's, it's tough when I don't like to just, throw anybody in the mix when it comes to taking my gym over. I like to, have people within the community that are proven and to me and to the gym members and stuff like that, because they need that. But anyway, the Collins regimen, they always follow a week behind of what I do every day. So each day I've had a coach before, never really, I enjoyed it. Just the fact that I didn't have to think about too much, but I like the day-to-day stuff because I go strictly off how I feel day-to-day. So I don't go off this template of, hey, you got to hit this, 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 and this. And I'm like smoked, like my forearms are just smoked or something like that. I try to make each day, I try to just capitalize on how I'm feeling with each movement. That way I can bring the heat for each session that I have. So we had a really good turnout for the regimen. The regimen was my training up to the games. Now we'll do a regimen open prep that starts next Monday, the 19th of August. So I think that's next Monday. Yeah. And that's going to be pretty much, we got like 50 or 55 days to that point, and we'll do, a lot of conditioning. Our lungs are going to be bleeding, and we're going to be lifting some weight under fatigue because that's the way it should be done. You know what I mean?
there's no better person to follow then as someone who's done. I mean, that's consistency in the open. That's pretty good. So
Thank you.
definitely you can check that. I mean, all of that's on your Instagram, Logan Collins 3.
Yep.
And for the record, you're in Wiley, Texas.
Wiley, Texas. Yeah.
Where's that near?
That's about 20 miles northeast, or I think it's 20 miles northeast of Dallas.
So maybe someone is listening. We get a lot of coaches that wants to relocate to Wiley, Texas.
There you go.
I don't know what, Dallas is a great area. So
it's growing out here. It's not, it used to be, cornfields and, not a whole lot of people, but now it's about, it's getting pretty popular.
Hey, Cookeville seems to be becoming like the old Venice Beach, of CrossFit. Yeah. Maybe Wiley, Texas can be next.
Yeah, we'll see.
But, so a couple more interesting points. So that's interesting that, you see the game, people think these games athletes are just crushing it with sponsors and flying all over. You've had 3 years in a row a top 20 finish.
Yep.
And right outside, you are truly one of the fittest human beings on this planet, but you still have to, you own your box, you go to the gym every day, and you're so unique in the fact that you train by yourself. So what makes you stand out? It's very impressive to someone like me that understands the sport, that understands I've owned 3 affiliates, that type of time. How do you do it?
Well, I have really good support.
Hey, by the way, your mom, did I tell you that your mom messaged me on Instagram?
Oh, I bet she did. What'd she say?
She reached out and she said, "You took pictures of my son. Can I have them? I will pay you for them." And I was like, what is she talking about? And then I realized because I posted that video, that guy that made a goofy video of me judging you.
Yeah.
And I think she thought I was the photographer, not the judge.
Oh my.
So I was like, unfortunately I was the judge, but I'm sure there'll be pictures out there of him. Don't worry.
That's so funny. Yeah. She's really great. And she is more stressed than I am by 100% at the CrossFit Games.
Yeah, my brief look at her Instagram, I can fully understand what you're talking
about. Yeah. But no, I think just ability to stay consistent. I try to balance the whole, and a lot of people think that, owning a CrossFit affiliate, you're just spending time at the gym like crazy. And that's the case, but I try to distinguish the business from my personal, like competitions and training and stuff. Like, I don't train during class times. I keep that very separate. It's about the business when it becomes 4:30, which is the afternoon class, or at 5 a.m., so, that's a pretty tough thing to kind of pull back through. Cause I do spend a lot of time at the gym, and it's about trying to pour back and try to give back and try to educate and coach and stuff. But when it comes to training time, that's kind of the part that I like about training by myself, is I don't have to really wait on anybody. It's when I have the time to do it. I started in my dad's barn in 2013, hung some rings up in the rafters, and I watched the Rich Froning documentaries and the day in the life. I'm not an OG by any means, but I am definitely just a fan of it. But I saw that, thought it looked really cool, and did what I had. I had I didn't even have a job at the time. I don't think I was going to school, but I hung some rings in the rafters and just started kind of building from that. And I ended up building a little gym in the barn, had some people come out, and then I ended up getting my first coaching job in Wiley, downtown at a gym. And I branched off from that gym, opened my own, and it's been really great. We opened in 2015, and it's been pretty awesome. But I don't know what distinguishes me or makes me special. I'm definitely not, the best or anything, but I think with what we got, with what I have and stuff, I try to maximize the time that I spend in the gym and trying to surround myself with good people. So,
well, you might not be the best, but you're definitely one of them, and you've proved it the last few years for sure. And I highly recommend people check you out and check out your programming, because next year when you're out there, I will definitely be ready and know who I'm about to judge.
Yep. And bring some pickle juice with you in case I cramp up again.
I just remember thinking on that pistol. I don't remember if I said it or thought it. I was like, "Get one on your good leg."
You did say it. Yeah. And it was funny because when it happened, it was my calf was I didn't even feel it, right? So, and then when I jumped up for the pull up, that's when it grabbed. So like went up and like,
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you do on when you're kipping, pull ups? You point your toes, right? You point your toes, you try to keep everything a little bit tighter. I couldn't point my toes and I was like, oh no. And I thought you freaking grabbed me or somebody grabbed me. That's what it felt like. Somebody grabbed the back of my leg and I looked down and obviously it's not, you didn't grab my leg, right? I know that, but that's what it felt like. Somebody just reached down and grabbed, and I looked and I had that picture that's on there that like split and my thing or my calf was moving side to side. And I was like, oh, my stuff is broken. I thought my leg was like,
I thought you tore your Achilles. That's what went through my head. Because you jumped. It was when you jumped, and I was like, he must have just worn it out. He jumped and it popped.
Yeah.
And then I remember the announcer going something like, "Logan, he's going strict." And that didn't last too long, but it was cool because the whole push to .com the last year has been those strict movements.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool.
I've been, with how I started in my dad's barn, I never could kip pull-ups. So I always did strict pull-ups on the rings that I had. And then in 2014, there was a chest to bar overhead squat workout. Right? Remember that one, 14 too?
Yeah.
It was the ladder. Well, we're obviously repeating it the year after, but I ended up having to do all my pull-ups strict on that one just because I didn't know how to kip yet. And that was 14. And then in 15 or 16, they redid it. And I learned how to kip. But yeah, talk about just strict has been something that I'm glad that they started putting them in CrossFit because, CrossFit gets a lot of slack for kipping pull-ups, but we got on a tear there in the off season. We do literally 100 strict pull-ups every day as long as we possibly can. And we do it for time. So like I've done 100 strict pull-ups a day, and it's obviously not like it has times of the year where you want to do it and stuff, but for accessory work, I'm not sitting there doing like single arm high pulls at this tempo that's 51 to 1. And then, I'm not doing that. I'm going to do stuff that is going to transfer into actual movement more than those things have their place. I know, but I'd rather do strict pull-ups because people can't do strict pull-ups at all. And so we do them for time and stuff. So we try to set a 5-minute clock and try to get 100 strict pull-ups under 5 minutes.
Well, that's faster than most can do butterfly or kipping. So
yeah, so
still impressive.
Yeah,
and your strict pull-ups, thinking back, were actually faster than your butterfly.
Were they? I think it's because the crowd started getting all crazy, and I heard that, and man, it was like a jolt.
Well, and I remember when you came out and you kicked up for the first time and went strict, I was like, okay, we're doing this. It made my job a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because I had Brooke Wells first in the girls, and as soon as you pull Brooke's card, everyone's on you. Like, you got to keep an eye on her.
On the handstand?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I knew all eyes.
Does all the athletes have, like, player cards that have, like, this guy sucks at this?
No, but – and I think, I love the games and I love watching you guys compete, but I don't follow a whole lot. So
sure,
I don't know as much about some of these guys, all of you guys, as the rest. But there are people that stand out. I always watch the open announcements. So we all saw her open announcement 2 years ago where she did that. So, and in fairness to Brooke, who I don't know very well, she was perfectly acceptable on those. So she's clearly been working on them.
Good. Yeah.
So cool, Logan. Well, it's been really cool to catch up while you're not working out and while you're not cramping.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. And definitely go check out Logan's regimen and Logan Collins. And if you want to relocate to Wiley, maybe you'll give Logan the opportunity to compete at a few more sanctionals.
There we go.
Did you pick up any sponsors this year?
Sir?
Did you pick up any sponsors?
I have a buddy or buddies that live out about 20 minutes from me that opened up a supplement company, True Labs, TRULABS, and it's pretty much they do a it's not like, C4 or anything like that, where they have like you're running to the bathroom after every time you drink it. It's more like all natural stuff. You basically cycle your body on and off each ingredient and stuff, so your body never develops a tolerance for it. So you got like it's A, B, C, D, and they're all different flavors and stuff like that. They got pre-workout, they got sleep, energy. They've helped me out a lot this year. And like I said, there's some good old boys from McKinney, Texas, and they started this company this year. So,
True
and
Labs.
they are legit. Yeah, absolutely.
True Labs. We'll definitely check them out. And
Yep.
once again, thank you very much for coming on.
All right, man. Jason, nice talking to you, buddy.